All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming, and I want you to know that even though it seems or may seem like I haven't been doing much lately, I have, and I want to show you one of the things that I did. But first I want to mention something to you, and that is this. When you're sitting there and you're working and you've got a project that you're working on that's important, all right, there it is, all right, and you're working on something, and you decide you're going to make some changes, make a copy. I did not do that. And since I did not do that, let's close this. Okay, since I did not make a copy like this, I had major problems over the last 2 days. So what do I mean? I'm going to bring this up. What I managed to do was to break the original EFCore 1 project that I had. But I do want to show you that I fixed it. Before I do show you that, which I will do in just a second, I have created now, there's a BMI library 01. I was going to make a 02, but I'm just going to use the original one for my second project. All right, but if I take this one now, I think I just did this, but make it my startup project and I run it. Now this is the one that has SQL in it. But I want to show you, if I show BMI, and if I do bring a person in here, and I'll type in, I don't know, George Bush. And we'll say that he's 73 inches tall and he weighs 199 pounds. All right, and I calculate. Thought I clicked it. There it is. It says that he's overweight. Okay, fine. And I'm going to exit now. But in fact, let's not exit. Let's leave that open. And if I click View and I go to SQL Explorer and I bring up the database, which was BMI database, and let's run a new query on this. Let's run select star from, select star from, was this BMI person? I don't remember. BMI person, I believe it is. All right, and if I run this now, what you're going to see when you look here is the last person in here is George Bush. Now, why this jumped up to 1,002, etc., I'm not positive. All right, but I'm not really worried about that. Okay? You can see, though, that this was put in today, the 11th of February, 2026. All right? So it is now working, for lack of better words. In fact, let's just do this. Let's close this. I will not save it. And let's find that database. Look at the table. And let's view the designer. Yeah, why that, a few things here. Default get date, that's fine. Primary key, that's fine. All this stuff is good. I don't know why that made that 53. I have no idea. But I just left it the way it is. And this, I have not put 1,000 records in there, so why it jumped up to 1,000, I don't really know. The point is, though, is this. The fact is, this is now working. All right? The original one that wasn't working before is now working. Now, BMI 02, if you look in here, there is a person table. All right? But if I go in and I run a query on it and do a select star from, I think I just called this person. All right? There's what you're going to see is there's nothing in there. All right, because I haven't finished the second one yet. Do I want to save that? No. So I'm going to bring this one back up again, my BMI EFCore02 project. I'm going to make that the active project. So we'll set it as the startup. But I think that right now, it's not complete. So you see the color has changed. If I show my BMI, there it is. All right, so it looks very similar to what we had before. All right, but there's a few things I want to change and add in here. And some of these I started talking about already. I want to be able to go in and directly edit using a data grid view. All right, I want the person ID, the BMI status to be locked. In other words, read-only. I want the height and the weight to be validated with numbers that make sense. I want the BMI to be automatically recalculated and the BMI status when the height or weight changes. And I would really rather set this up so no update button is even required. All right. So if I stop this now, you'll notice in forms, I do have my forms in here, but they're not doing very much right now, for lack of better words. Okay? All right, so we're going to attempt to go in and start making some of these changes, some of which I've talked about before but did not complete. So we're going to look at these right now. All right. And I believe the first one that we looked at in here, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to go into the update. I don't know if this is one I was working on before or not. Don't really care because this is the one I'm going to start with. So let's view the code. All right. We did come in here. We talked about this. I explained what all these using files were for. And I've started putting in comments here. All right. So we've got our private read-only for our repository. We've got this flag that we're using in here to tell whether or not the form is loading. And in our load event itself, which I think is down here, there we go. This is kind of where I left it off, I believe, last time. All right. So this is in the load event. All right, we're showing that, yes, the form is currently loading. We're allowing the data grid view to automatically create the columns for us. We're making sure that we select any cell, or that any cell we select will automatically select the entire row. So in other words, if I've got a first name of Bob, a last name of Jones, and a height of 62 and a weight of 200, and I meant to say 72, if I click in the 62, the whole row is going to be selected, and that's what that line is going to do in there, at full select. All right. We're allowing editing, whether you use a keystroke or hit the F2 key. We are preventing the selection of multiple rows. We're binding the data grid view, all right, to the list of people from the repository. We're locking those three columns that we talked about earlier, and that's going to be in here. So we're setting the ID, the BMI, and the BMI status all to read only. Finally, we're coming in here and we are attaching these event handlers. Now that's kind of where we left it off last time. So I'm going to pick it back up here and we'll see where it goes from here. All right. All right. So, and I'm sorry, I've got a phone call.